The first phase of the Peloponnesian War is sometimes referred to as the Archidamian War, after the Spartan king Archidamos II. With the outbreak of the war, both sides struggled to strike each other directly. Athens refused to march out and engage Sparta's hoplite army, instead letting the Spartans ravage Attica for weeks on end, taking shelter behind the long walls and supplying the inhabitants of the city from imported food. The Spartans, who lacked significant naval resources, were in no position to challenge the Athenians directly at sea, even aided by Corinth's modest fleet. Instead, both sides focused on peripheral concerns. The main Athenian thrust in the opening year of the war was continuing the siege of Potidæa, which finally fell in 429 BC. In that same year, the Spartans initiated a siege at Plataea. Located in Boeotia, Plataea had long been a loyal Athenian ally. 1,000 Plataeans had fought beside the Athenians at Marathon. Plataea's affinity for Athens therefore gave the city a critical foothold on the Boeotian plain. Facing the Spartan assault, the Plataeans evacuated their non-combatant population to Attica, and a skeleton crew of defenders held out for 2 years until the city was finally forced to surrender. The Spartans asked each defender if he had aided Sparta during the war. Upon the inevitable answer of no, all the captured Plataeans, roughly 200 men, were executed, and the city was razed to the ground, not rebuilt until the 380s. In 428, the city of Mytilene on the island of Lesbos revolted from Athens, no doubt hoping that the Athenians, reduced by plague and locked in combat with the Spartans, would not be in a position to respond. The Athenians, however, reduced the rebels, and in 427, the Demos debated what to do with the captured Mytilenes. Cleon, an aggressive general and demagogue, advocated that the men be executed and the women enslaved, a proposal which the Demos approved. A trireme was dispatched to transmit the order. However, a few days later, the Demos had a surprising change of heart. A new assembly convened and voted that instead most of the Mytileneans should be spared, save for the leaders of the revolt. The second trireme was dispatched to carry the reprieve. The rowers raced to beat the first trireme and so prevent a massacre. With great exertion, the message of clemency arrived first. Still, 1,000 leaders were executed, and the Athenians seized land from the city that was assigned to Athenian homesteaders, known as clerics. In 426, the Athenians launched a new initiative to strike at the heart of Spartan power. An expedition was sent to Pylos on the western Peloponnese, with the goal of erecting a fort that could become a refuge for escaped helots. The Spartans countered with an expedition, which after inconclusive fighting around Pylos, occupied Sphacteria, an island that lays across the Navarino Bay, hoping to blockade the Athenian position. This proved a gross miscalculation, as the Athenian fleet swooped in, drove off the modest squadron of Spartan ships, and trapped the Spartan force on the island, including over 400 full Spartiates. The jeopardy of so many homoioi prompted the Spartans to call for an armistice and try to negotiate a peace. These negotiations were sabotaged by Cleon, who raised exorbitant demands which quickly sank the peace process. As the fighting resumed, the Athenian commander Demosthenes tried to starve the Spartans out. The Spartans, however, maintained a desperate lifeline by promising freedom to any helot who swam bags of provisions past the Athenian warships. Cleon, insisting he could kill or capture the Spartans in a mere 20 days, was elevated to a joint command at Pylos, and for all his bluster, he got results. An Athenian force landed on Sphacteria, aided by armed Messenians. and after scrappy fighting on rough terrain, they compelled the Spartans to surrender, including 120 surviving full Spartiates. It was a stunning Spartan defeat. The Athenians threatened to execute their prisoners if the Spartans attempted again to ravage Attica. Having won an extraordinary victory, it was now the Athenians' turn to overreach. Still interested in projecting power into Boeotia, the Athenians dispatched a large hoplite army in 424 to Delium, in Boeotia, with the goal of establishing a permanent fort in Boeotian territory. A large Boeotian army responded, resulting in a pitched hoplite battle. The Theban contingent was arrayed 25 men deep, an exceptionally deep formation compared to the typical depth of 8 men for most Greek phalanxes. This allowed the Thebans to crash through the Athenian left. The Athenian right saw more success, but faltered when 2 Athenian contingents attacked each other by mistake. Greek armies had few mechanisms to identify themselves in combat. The Athenian phalanx collapsed into a dispiriting rout. A number of Athenians took refuge in the fortified temple, only to be expelled several weeks later by some kind of crude flame-throwing device. One of the heroes of Delium was an intellectual named Socrates, who served as a hoplite, and who distinguished himself by rallying a band of survivors. It is possible his heroism at Delium contributed to his emergence as an Athenian celebrity, soon to be worthy of Aristophanic lampoons. This setback emboldened the Spartan commander Brasidas to launch an ambitious strike against Athenian interests in the North Aegean. Taking a small force comprised in part of freed helots who were armed to fight as hoplites, this fact alone a sign of Spartans' chronic manpower shortage, Brasidas pounced on the prize Athenian possession of Amphipolis. The Athenian general Thucydides was sent to relieve the city, but he arrived too late, and as a result he was tried for incompetence and exiled. With the fall of Amphipolis, the peace faction in Athens achieved another armistice. Cleon again sabotaged negotiations and obtained a command to rectify the situation in the north. Both Cleon and Brasidas fell fighting around Amphipolis in 422. The death of the 2 most belligerent politicians on each side opened up a new avenue for peace. In 421, the Peace of Nicaea was agreed to. The treaty largely enshrined the status quo. The Spartans captured at Sphacteria were repatriated to Sparta, and the Spartans promised to return Amphipolis to Athens, although this promise was ultimately reneged upon. What followed was a rather phony peace. The Athenians remained as confident and belligerent as ever, the Spartans just as anxious about Athenian power. Between 420 and 413, the Athenians and Spartans often clashed on the field of battle, albeit in support of opposing allies, all before the war was officially rebooted in the wake of the disastrous Athenian Sicilian expedition. That disaster will be our topic for next time. Talk to you then.